Good afternoon, morning, and evening, depending on where you are. I am Double H here with Standby. Welcome to the 2017 International Junior Roller Derby Association Championships, live from Loveland, Colorado.
Beautiful venue, beautiful place, lots of exciting action, and we're not even halfway through it. As for the next,
are we not? We're not, are we?
No, but we are awake. We got one game down as the Mob City Misfits will meet the Reservoir Dolls. The winner will meet the Attack Pack for a right to play for 5th place later, and the runner-up will play Philly for 10th place. So lots on the line every single game you see all weekend from here on out.
And this one is like the battle for the Pacific Northwest, as we've got Mob City out of Everett, Washington, taking on Emerald City's Reservoir Dolls from Eugene, Oregon. Let's go over these rosters. Do you want to read Mob City?
Sure. Mob City Misfits. We'll look at the roster and not the
Take
charter.
That one. That's
Triple
okay.
Zero Moose, 14 Makilia, 17 Turbocharged, 23 Afro Jamurai, that is the captain. 24 is Hater, 253 Just Daisy. Number 3 Lexi, 33 Rosie the Pivoter. 444.
That's a good one.
I like that as opposed to Rosie the Riveter from Atlanta. 447 Lunatic, the alternate. Number 5 is A Green, 667 Turtle Death. Number 70 is Virginia Wolf. Nice. 700 Toe Jammer, 81 Lynn Sanity, and 85 Surly Temper.
And for Emerald City's Junior Gems, the Reservoir Dolls, we've got 0 Death Wish, number 4 Evelyn, number 113 Block and Roll, number 13 Psychotic Angel, number 14 Gory Hallelujah, number 16 Juke Skywalker, number 22 Sour Patch, number 26 12 Scooby Smack, number 27, Lethal Ivy. Number 33, Skinner. Number 44, Tipsy Terror. Number 711, Frecklenator. And number 919, Rage Quick. Did we get that right?
RAG3QU1K. Yeah, looks
I'm
right
going
to
to say
me.
we did. We're going to try that. Twitter will correct us, as they always do. Speaking of Twitter, if you are on it, and I certainly think that you probably are, probably, use the hashtag #TalkToJRDA to get at us on Twitter. Follow the handle @JRDARocks for more updates throughout the weekend. And if you have a watch party, which I think a lot of people do these days, use the hashtag JRDAWatchParty. Take a picture of your watch party and send it to us on Twitter or Facebook, and you could win a prize before the end of the weekend. It's going to be awesome. JRDA is doing a lot of great social media promotion, and I accidentally snuck that international JRDA moniker in there at the beginning, and it's a good thing I did because there's going to be an international junior roller derby tournament, the Roller Disco, in Copenhagen next month, August 11th through 12th. That is going to be super rad. Roller derby is an entertaining contact sport on roller skates from the United States, they say. Crazy kids. But taking a look at the bracket action that is happening for the Open division so far, let's go over again what it took to get here. Stand by.
Of course, Reservoir Dolls versus Mob City. Earlier yesterday, the Mob City Misfits fell to the Foco Spartans, the pretty much home team here on this track. That was the 8 o'clock game. And the Mob City Misfits were, finding them, were right below that. Mob City Misfits fell to the Foco Spartans, as we mentioned. The Reservoir Dolls were actually, yes, in Game 1, and they lost to Tampa. So this is the bracket where the teams that, as they lose, as they come up short, they go into the runner-up bracket where the top prize is 5th place. So right now, battling for 5th place, whichever team makes it here will meet the Attack Pack for the right to play for 5th place, and the runner-up will play Philly for 10th. And we actually have a Shadow here listening to us who will join us announcing later in the weekend from Philly. So definitely
That's our
watching
friend
this game.
Harley Spin.
That's right, watching this game intently as this one of these teams will face Philly tomorrow.
So all eyes on this game. And they are finishing up the captain's meeting as you can see right there, which is an important part of any gameplay, trying to figure out certain things that the captains or bench managers have questions about how things might particularly be officiated on this track and by this particular referee crew. It's important things to ask about to make sure that you understand how they're going to be calling certain things in gameplay. Because nothing is worse than coming into a game and feeling like you don't have a good handle on how the game is going to be officiated. I think certain crews do things a little bit differently, and time-wise, in terms of out-of-play calls, and how long does it take you to call it? What is your metric? Those types of questions are the questions that go on during the captain's meeting. Aside from some dancing that is also happening off track here.
There we go. I was sitting in on that meeting a couple minutes Thursday evening, and they were all instructed we will not rush this captains and coaches meeting. We wanted to make sure that everybody has their questions answered and everybody is ready to go. And here we go.
That was Turtle Death who was dancing on her bench, and she's apparently ready to go. So are we. I think this open division action has been super exciting all weekend long. I have seen more apex jumps on this track this weekend than I think I've ever seen in my life. And I should actually qualify that, more successful apex jumps than I've ever seen. I've seen some botched ones.
I know Jam Storella is watching back in Florida.
Speaking of successful apex jumps. So we have on the Jammer Line bench the Reservoir Dolls, the Emerald City Junior Gems in white. Mob City Misfits are playing in black with white accents, and they've got the Pivot Line bench right here. And so each of these teams is starting in their respective locations. We've got Emerald City on the back line, the Reservoir Dolls on the back line, and on the front, Mob City for this jam start. And they're gonna wait. Oh, there was a question about some of the track tape on the infield, and I think we've sorted that.
Five seconds. Here we go.
So for Mob City, we've got Turbocharged, who is going to take lead jammer status. And that is number 13, Psychotic Angel for Reservoir Dolls.
Racing with about a half lap lead here. So it appears that Mob City, calling off the jam, striking first.
Hit it and quit it for Mob City right out of the gate. Looks like 3 points. So 3-0 right out of the first jam, Mob City shutting down Reservoir Dolls. And Reservoir Dolls says, you know what, let's shift up our strategy a little bit. So they're taking that pivot line.
Wow.
And they're going to push back slowly. A Green jamming for Mob City. And for the Reservoir Dolls, huge hit to the infield for that jammer who is being recycled. That's Death Wish. Lead jammer being awarded to Mob City's Green.
Oh, last second block. Nicely done. Well, 700 it was, Toe Jammer, but called out, unfortunately.
As the jam is called, and she's going to be sitting in the penalty box. Did you catch that penalty standby?
I did not.
It's okay. It's not a test.
I am, got to crane a little bit. We have both the monitor in front of us, what you see at home or wherever you are joining us this weekend, and also the action right in front of us. Of course, we also have skaters in front of us. So we'll tell you when we see it. If not, we can pontificate or just say they're going to the box.
We'll probably do both.
Yeah.
So Reservoir Dolls on that back line again. Only 2 blockers on the track for Mob City, but their jammer is close to getting out first. One exit hit to beat, and that is Makilia. Lead jammer for Mob City, Juke Skywalker, finally freed from the pack. Makilia on a scoring pass on the infield, grabs points and call it. That's going to be 4 points.
hit right at the fourth whistle, and, 4-0 that time, shutting out the Reservoir Dolls. That was close.
Mob City able to get lead jammer status with just 2 blockers on that track. So Reservoir Dolls, I think, trying to figure out their start strategy. And they're going to default to going all the way back to try to catch that jammer and prevent a little bit of speed from happening. Mob City still with just 2 blockers on the track. Psychotic Angel jamming for Reservoir Dolls. Lead jammer status for her.
Able to stay in good control there.
And still hung up. Turbocharged, finally freed on his initial. Psychotic Angel coming around the outside, gets the call from her bench to call it in. She does. That's going to be 4 points. Or is that a 5th? Nope, it is 4.
4 points, and plenty of time on that call-off as far as watching the opposing jammer and making sure they can't score, as only a 5-point game, of course. The Reservoir Dolls coming up as the 10 seed and Mob City Misfits as the 5 seed. So while you might expect Mob City to win, of course, we have seen upsets before.
4-3 pack advantage is still Reservoir Dolls with Deathwish jamming. A Green jamming for Mob City, getting drawn all the way back. Lead jammer is assessed up front to Deathwish, who exits the pack backwards on a backwards crossover. And A Green able to make it through on her initial. The pack is now at the far straightaway. A scoring run for Deathwish.
And a spin on top of it. Why not?
Now, there's a lot of hitting and quitting going on right now, Standby. I think both of these teams are still trying to figure each other out a little bit, and particularly I think the Reservoir Dolls are not entirely comfortable with one jam start or another. They're kind of feeling out this team, and unfortunately Mob City has not had a full complement of blockers to start the jam for a few jams now, so the pack advantage still rests with Reservoir Dolls.
Right, and the pivot's still sitting in the box, so no star passes will be happening anytime soon for them.
Makilia and Juke Skywalker. Makilia trying to find that outside line, is able to do so on her toe stops. Lead jammer is assessed. Juke Skywalker getting drawn back on the outside all the way back to the jammer line. And I believe that's an out-of-play penalty being assessed. That is number 3, Lexi, for Mob City. Oh, and coming out of the penalty box was Mob City's pivot.
So once again, Mob City will be down a blocker as we start the next jam. 5-point pass that time, 14-8.
Despite that pack disadvantage, though, Standby, they're still in the lead, 14-8 over the Reservoir Dolls, with just over 5 minutes of gameplay expired in the first.
Exactly. I predict another volatile game as we had the first half of the last
As
one.
we have seen every game.
Pretty much, yeah.
On this track in this division so far. And we've got Turbocharged facing off against Psychotic Angel. Again, the Reservoir Dolls in the white. That's Psychotic Angel being drawn to the outside boundary. And all the way back on the infield is Turbocharged being pushed to the jammer line before he approaches the back of the pack once more. Finally lead around. Beautiful mohawk from Psychotic Angel for lead.
Jammers meet up. Just a little bit of contact there.
Turbocharged trying to force the call off, which he is successful with. So Mob City Misfits 14, Reservoir Dolls 8.
Nothing to speak for, more or less, on that jam, except the penalty box is clear for the first time in recent memory.
Recent memory. Why, I remember 4 jams ago when the penalty box was clear. So one thing I've seen quite a bit of this weekend in both divisions is the pivot line starts with both teams. And so that's what we're seeing here from Mob City and Reservoir Dolls, with A Green and Deathwish jamming right around the outside. A Green able to become lead jammer for Mob City.
Does give you about a 2-second heads up on where the jammers are going, but aside from that,
you got to be prepared to weather that speed. You're giving them an additional 15-ish feet to pick up that momentum, so you got to be ready for it. That was a 4-point pass for Mob City, 18, now Reservoir Dolls 8.
There we go. And last jam, I saw the jammers smiling and joking on the line. This time,
not as much.
a little more intensity as the Mob City jammer further back on the line.
Everybody's focused. We call it focused. We got McKillia again jamming for Mob City. Scooby Smack now for Reservoir Dolls. Scooby Smack's first jam of the game. McKillia going to the penalty box.
And number 14 there, that's actually white, number 14. Gory Hallelujah was holding her mouth as she approached the penalty box.
That is a penalty, a forearm being assessed to McKillia. I'm sorry, that was Scooby Smack. McKillia was all runner in the penalty box and now escaping. All right, moving through. That was McKillia's initial.
Ghost blocker. Watch those skates. Might have lost the toe stop.
That is the worst. Scooby Smack back in action. So we've got no lead, and this is going to go the full 2 minutes.
Nice spin, but recycled back. Jammers meet up, and the hard way.
And that is going to be a high block assessed to a Mob City blocker going to the penalty box. The pack is moving pretty quickly and is mixed up, but the one-on-one blocking from each of these teams has made it really hard for the jammers to get through. So we're still on a point-scoring pass. Mob City at 18 points, Reservoir Dolls 8 for this game so far.
Whoa, and both jammers stay in, and
that was a star pass.
And I thought the opposing jammer was through there, but
so just Daisy now jamming for Mob City Misfits. And that is going to be her second pass. So that was a 5-point pass and a 4-point pass. That's a 9-point jam there for Mob City. Reservoir Dolls also with points. Let's see what those look like.
Yeah, Scooby Smack put through the ringer there, and I thought scored something, but
or perhaps not.
Actually, I thought Scooby Smack was through the pack.
I also did, but maybe that was
inside, but
his initial.
Could be.
So the score, Mob City 27, Reservoir Dolls 8. Just over 10 minutes of gameplay have expired. In the first period, we've got turbocharged lead jammer for Mob City. Psychotic Angel still working her way through the pack and is now free. She's about 20 feet behind turbocharged. Turbocharged approaching the back of the pack, close to the apex. Will there be room for a jump? Probably not, but still right around. Beautiful work with those toe stops, just reaching through the infield to grab those 4 points. Psychotic Angel also on a point scoring run here. Is trapped on the infield and recycled. But those will be points, and those will be 4 points for each jammer.
Mob City defense on point on that jam, especially more than we've seen in the past. So net 4 for the Misfits.
We have seen a couple great watch party photos on Twitter, but I know more must exist out there somewhere. So why don't you post yours using the hashtag JRDA Watch Party on Twitter or Facebook, and we will collect them, and we will decide who among you deserves the most fun JRDA merch we can imagine.
Looking forward to seeing that as, Mob City jammer drawn back. But yeah, we know you're having a watch party. Show it to us.
That was A Green around the outside, coming close to cutting the track. Lead jammer status goes to Death Wish of Reservoir Dolls. Death Wish looking to make up some points here. Mob City is ahead 35-12. But a beautiful drawback here from Mob City. Will there be points? There will be 1 point.
1 point, and every point counting, especially at this point in the game. if not for morale, then more for actual strategy. So see what happens here as once again the Reservoir Dolls take the line. Mob City kind of back to gain a little momentum before that jam starts, before they cross the line, I should say.
Yeah, Mob City really looking to envelop this pack, trying to catch the jammer as she approaches, which they have done successfully. And that is Frecklenator for Reservoir Dolls, who is at the front of the pack. She's got 2 to beat at turn 2, is forced to the outfield and actually able to maintain inbound status. And she is going to get a penalty instead of lead jammer status. So she did cut the track, opening up the door for McKillia. But that is not lead jammer status either. That is a no pass, no penalty. So this will be the full 2 minutes. Stand by.
I do remember McKillia last night being one of the more effective jammers for the Mob City Misfits, so hopefully able to capitalize here and build more on that lead as the Reservoir Dolls lose a pivot.
Lots of backwards blocking here from Reservoir Dolls. They're having a hard time reforming their solid 3-wall formation, the tripod right there. As you can see, there's not a lot of cohesive reforming here from Reservoir Dolls, so that's one of their issues right now in this pack. As Frecklenator proceeding to make it through finally on her initial, and now additional points being scored here from McKillia.
Reservoir Dolls down 2 blockers as one returns to play.
Frecklenator getting a little bit of offense here on a scoring run. Looking behind her quickly to make sure that she had exited correctly. That was a 4-point pass. And she looks exhausted already, standby.
Right. Just a brutal jam here, and mercifully it is over.
Nice toe hop on the outside to end that.
4 more points on top of that, 13-4 in favor of Mob City. Wow.
So Reservoir Dolls really having a tough time staying together. I think part of the reason they have been uncertain with this jam start is because they are having a little bit of trouble defensively, and so in those situations they're trying to default specifically to defense only instead of providing any offense, which they're trying to do. They're not locking down those lines though. Turbocharged through for lead jammer status.
Definitely have to watch that inside, and you can say that over and over on this tournament as
and a misconduct being assessed to Reservoir Dolls' Psychotic Angel.
Oh, and a back block.
Assessed to Turbocharged, who was also lead jammer. So now we will have no lead jammer, a full 2 minutes as Psychotic Angel comes out of the penalty box. Gets a big hit of offense there on the outside from her pivot. This is a brief power jam before Turbocharged rejoins.
You know, if this keeps up, we're going to have Catman check the penalty board again for us.
I don't know if you want to do that. Although he's getting pretty good at 4th grade math. He's going to be going into the 4th grade. He's getting good at at the multiplication. Right. So both jammers looking to score here. Turbocharged spinning through the pack like a pinball. Makes it through for 4 points. Psychotic Angel trying to get past 2 at the front, is able to grab 1 and finally beats all.
Jammers in proximity. No blocking there except a little positional going into the turn.
Psychotic Angel removing the helmet cover, is passing it to her pivot. She's raising her arms as though she's coming off for medical reasons. She's going right over to her bench, so she has taken herself out of gameplay entirely. And she's passed that off to Scooby Smack. So Scooby Smack is now the jammer with the helmet cover. Turbocharge continuing to score points. So that was a full 4, though, for Reservoir Dolls. and 5 for Mob City on that pass.
One of the Mob City blockers just holding her eye, hopefully just a, maybe a contact lens situation or whatnot. Of course, medical staff on hand will check that out.
And there's going to be a timeout, a team timeout taken by the Reservoir Dolls.
Lighting is pretty good here. There we go. During this timeout, just check on the technical situation. Again, you can join the conversation at JRDA_rocks and use the hashtag #2 JRDA, talk2 JRDA all weekend long. The winner of this game will meet the Attack Pack for a right to play for 5th place. The runner-up will play Philly for 10th place.
Which is going to be tomorrow.
Right. We'll continue on until all positions have been filled. Next time, okay, the Attack Pack game will be 6 p.m. this evening, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. That'll be 8 Eastern for Attack Pack fans. The River City Tampa game will be before that at 4 p.m., so 6 Eastern.
We are going to be returning to gameplay. So Mob City.
Ooh.
Mob City's jammer immediately hitting the infield. But Reservoir Dolls' jammer is lead first, and that is Death Wish. And right behind her is Mob City's jammer. That is going to be number 5, A Green.
I'm seeing most of these jams, the lead jam has been established by turn 1 and sometimes even in the straightaway. So this may also turn into a game of who controls each jam as we progress.
So Mob City 71, Reservoir Dolls 23. We've got about 11 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first period.
5 seconds, here we go.
McKillia jamming for Mob City. Juke Skywalker for Reservoir Dolls. Juke Skywalker, lead jammer. And a drawback on McKillia. Sends her all the way back to the jammer line, but she beats that infield.
Ooh.
Juke Skywalker coming out swinging at the back of the pack is able to make it through. That's going to be a 4-point pass there.
And Juke Skywalker had a great game yesterday as well. Another name you might remember from past coverage right here on WFTDA.tv as all the teams played yesterday and now continue on as they face each other in different combinations again until this WFTDA style brackets we have on both tracks.
Reservoir Dolls tried to start at the pivot line, and then they realized they didn't feel comfortable with that positioning, so they defaulted back to the jammer line to try to get their defense in order. Jamming for Mob City, Turbocharged. Frecklenator for Reservoir Dolls. Turbocharged is lead jammer. Frecklenator one to beat and does so forcefully at the front of the pack.
A lot of muscle in these blocks, and combine that with the slick floor, seeing a lot of bodies hitting the floor, especially here in the open division.
That's a great point, Standby. A lot of the jammers who are having success, not just in this game, but throughout the weekend, have done a lot of toe stop work. So the toe stops, if you trust your toe stops, you're golden. You can always count on them. It's very rare that your brand new, gently used toe stops are going to let you down, especially on these lines, and I've seen jammers using them to that effect all weekend. A Green jamming for Mob City. Reservoir Dolls. Lead jammer status, Psychotic Angel is back in action, so that's good news. And that was beautiful defensive work from Scooby Smack. The pack now sitting at turn 2. Both jammers looking to engage a drawback here against Psychotic Angel. Great defensive work here.
And Psychotic Angel on the inside stays in and calls off the jam. Reservoir Dolls able to earn lead jam every now and then, but as far as controlling the jam, staying out of the penalty box, might be a little bit of a challenge, or how many points can be scored at a given time. That time, 5 unanswered points, much needed for the Emerald City Junior Gym's Reservoir Dolls.
Reservoir Dolls going to default to the back line again, even though both teams kind of lined up between the pivot and the jammer line. We've got McKillia jamming for Mob City, who's recycled all the way past the jammer line on the outside line. Deathwish fighting for position on the inside line, just pushing Mob City forward until she opens a hole for lead jammer status.
Multiplayer block called on the pivot, however, in that exchange.
Out of play call and a multiplayer being assessed, one to Mob City, one to Reservoir Dolls. The jammer, though, now just Daisy, who had received the star, sitting for Mob City. So power jam for Reservoir Dolls, who also hold lead jammer status. So this is an opportunity for Deathwish.
See how many points can be scored here. There's 5. That's a start. If they can draw an illegal re-entry going into here, that would be big. See what happens. Wow, with a forceful block on offense. Through again.
So the pack now back at the jammer line. Mob City trying to keep their 3-person tripod together.
Oh.
And that's going to be a back block assessed to Deathwish. So now the jam will go the full 2 minutes, which is just another 40 seconds.
Knocked out on the inside, and good drawback by 33 there. Rosie the pivot. Oh. Yeah, it was. Frecklenator. That time engaging a fellow blocker.
Oh, sorry. There, I guess Just Daisy had been the jammer to start the jam, and now passed the start a Toe Jammer, who was the pivot and is taken out to the outfield at turn 3. So a bit of confusion on that jammer line rotation. But I like Toe Jammer dropping all the way back to get some speed, because that's how she's attacking these formations from the Reservoir Dolls.
When you don't have size, use speed. Use momentum if you can. 13-4 for the Reservoir Dolls. So net 9 that time.
Mob City Misfits 79 to Reservoir Dolls 45 in this battle for the Pacific Northwest here at the JRDA Open Division Championships track number 1.
Thank you for joining us this weekend, no matter where you are.
Hopefully you're watching WFTDA.tv and see how Turbocharge takes that outfield draw and just drops back, grabs some speed, comes through to become lead. But Juke Skywalker, not to be outdone with the apex jump. Oh, and there's going to be a low block assessed to Turbocharge, who was lead. So now we're going to go another full 2-minute jam. Stand by.
Juke Skywalker definitely needs to take advantage of this, and easy 5 points right on through. Looks like the penalty box is clear for the first time other than the jammer.
So Reservoir Doll's strategy here is to create a runt or a goat in the back and then allow their jammer to push forward to see if he can get that extension on the pack to try to get additional points. He's able to make that apex jump and does a clear here for 5 points.
That worked, as opposing jammer is free. Turbocharged back on the track. We'll pick up where he left off.
So that tripod from Reservoir Dolls just breaks apart. He's able to make it through, and that's a 4-point pass for Mob City.
Have a Mob City skater down, a little slow to recover, but they do. No, 81 removing herself. Linsanity.
Both of these jammers recycled, kind of eyeing up the pack to see what they can do. Turbocharge is going to go full speed ahead, but Duke Skywalker is removing the helmet cover and has passed it to his pivot. So getting a little bit winded, he hands it over to Scooby Smack.
All right, 6 seconds to go. Not, well, I'm not going to count anything out quite yet. 2, 1. Yep, not able to make it back in time, but still I applaud the attempt. After all that, okay, let's wait on it to settle. There we go. I thought that was only net 1. Nope, net 2 for the Reservoir Dolls after all that. What a competitive jam.
91 points now for Mob City. Reservoir Dolls 59, just over 3 minutes left in the first period. I am Double H here with Standby, and you are watching our ongoing coverage of the 2017 Junior Roller Derby Association Championships Open Division bracket. Mob City Misfits versus Reservoir Dolls. Mob City's jammer out first. McKillia lead jammer for Mob City. Reservoir Dolls has fielded Psychotic Angel.
And through for the Reservoir Dolls, but
McKillia getting the call off from her bench.
Yeah. Waiting on that. Little question about pack definition as well there.
Who doesn't have questions about pack definition? I do. I think it's one of the most challenging parts of our game is that you're not only playing individually to make sure that you're blocking efficiently and doing offense or defense at any one given moment, but you're also supposed to be completely aware of the formation that you're in as a team, which is just so challenging. That's why the sport is great.
So much to watch, and hopefully we can describe half of it to you.
That's Death Wish up front for Reservoir Dolls. She's got 1 to beat. And that's going to be a penalty. That's a cutting the track call. Oh, no, sorry. There was some question about, it was her opposing blocker who got that cutting the track call. She is lead.
A green through. And that was a hard-fought initial pass there, but no more scoring on top of that 4.
I think Reservoir Dolls looking to stem the bleeding a little bit here. Even though they have encountered by default a few jams where they've had to go long because they've been full 2-minute jams in a row. I think it worked out actually in their favor, but they'd probably like to revert back to a little bit of defensive jamming if they can.
32-point game, and that can be had in one jam. As potentially the final jam coming up.
We're 3-on-3. Reservoir Dolls pack pulled up a bit at the beginning there, allowing their jammer Scooby Smack to get through to become lead jammer. Turbocharged also threw about a half a pack behind. Scooby Smack just reaches down completely. I've seen a lot of that this weekend as well. That's really exciting. A lot of these jammers have that muscle memory of seconds before they hit the pack, they are just dropping to their knees and getting so low that their opposing blockers can't get a hit on them. And that was successful for Reservoir Dolls.
That's right. Get low, but don't lead with the head, whatever you do. Occasionally,
not
we
this
do see
weekend.
that. Right.
And there's a team timeout being called by Mob City. This is their first team timeout of the game. Reservoir Dolls have already taken 2 team timeouts, so they only have 1 remaining for the game.
Officially 20 seconds to go when we pick up again. As, again, 32-point game. The winner of this one will meet the attack pack for the right to play for 5th place. The runner-up will play Philly for 10th. And Mob City Misfits coming in as the number 5 seed, Emerald City Junior Gyms Reservoir Dolls as the number 10 seed. Checking to see if these these teams have not met in the last 2 years.
They've had some exciting and competitive matches, though. Although they did play one another here over Memorial Day weekend. Is that correct?
All right. Reservoir Dolls and Mob City actually 0-2 in the past 2 seasons. Mob City and
Not sure why it says that, but
one sheet says one thing and one the other. But yes, May 27th they did face off, and
Scott Chicken.
The call on that one, the official score, Mob City 226 to the Reservoir Dolls 130. So that is what we have. That happened on May 27th.
We're 3-on-3 as we start the jam in the pack. Psychotic Angel through the inside with a beautiful little pirouette is able to become lead jammer. McKillia still hung up in the pack.
See how clock management comes into play. Of course, Psychotic Angel would like to keep this jam going as long as possible, as long as they can stuff that jammer. That is happening.
Trying to close that gap down. Psychotic Angel for 5 points, eyeing up additional points between turns 3 and 4. Finds room to do it. That's 5 more points for Psychotic Angel.
I applaud the attempt there on the Mob City blockers.
So McKillia right behind Psychotic Angel. Psychotic Angel is going to default to calling it instead of allowing Mob City to gain initial points. It's fewer than 20 points between them now, though, so that was a nice 10-0 jam in favor of Reservoir Dolls.
This game can go either way, and it, as they say, has only just begun as skaters for the next game are already taking the track, already starting to warm up here, wasting no time at all.
Was that a Carpenter's reference?
Unfortunately, yes, it was.
I'm not going to try to sing it. Not on camera. Maybe later during halftime. Exciting beginning first period for Mob City taking on the Reservoir Dolls, and we're going to be back for the second period in just a few minutes. I'm Double H here with Standby. That was a great first period.
Absolutely it was. Anything can happen and likely will right here
on WFTDA.tv. Welcome back to period 2 of Mob City Misfits taking on Emerald City Reservoir Dolls. I'm Double H here with Standby. You've got some penalty data for us, I understand.
Right, and Coach B coming in for a cough drop. Of course, communication being all it is right here with the coaches. I took a photograph as I was passing through. And Moose with 3, McKillia with 1. Let's see. Anybody in penalty trouble is what we're looking for. Toe Jammer with 3. Lexi with 3. That's, again, the most of anybody right now. Now, on whites, Gory and Lethal Ivy with 2 each. So nobody in penalty trouble, but just about everybody has been to the box so far. So unlike the first game, where we had penalty trouble going into the second half, this time it's fairly well-rounded. Nobody in danger of fouling out quite yet. That's good for strategy. You don't lose any skaters you were counting on.
I think the actual issue that the teams are having, not necessarily with jammer penalties in particular offensively, but jammer endurance. Both of these teams have struggled with jammer endurance. In particular, Reservoir Dolls had some issues before with one of their jammers taking herself out of the gameplay due to exhaustion, we think. But everyone is back in action, and we should be in good shape. I believe that was Psychotic Angel who had taken herself out of the jam about halfway through the first period from exhaustion, but had successfully managed to pass off the star before doing so. This has been a long weekend, as you said, so far for both of these teams, for all the teams involved. Altitude is a factor that you, I think, don't really anticipate until it's really that digging deep in the middle of a game where you kind of rely on your endurance to kind of kick in and provide that second win for you, and that's really kind of what's missing. It's like expecting your car to give you that low gas warning, but to not have that warning and to find out that gas is not there when you need it. So that is the effect that that altitude has on a lot of these athletes, and I think they're doing some extra hydration, some extra nourishment in order to try to combat that, but it's really hard to predict. Standby.
Right, and as far as endurance goes now, both of these teams have been in championship tournaments before, but I believe never has the JRDA before had the WFTDA style brackets where they continue playing until all the spaces are filled. So more games played than ever as far as full 60-minute games versus 20 or 30-minute scrimmages for round robin seeding purposes. So again, endurance, we'll see what happens here.
3-on-2 pack advantage for Mob City. Lead jammer status right out of the gate for Turbocharged on the outside. Deathwish able to make it through about half a lap behind. So now the pack takes off. Still 3-on-2. Reservoir Dolls preferring to speed this up.
Oh.
Turbocharged says, you know what? You speed this up? No problem. I got this.
That is the high jump of the day, by the way, from my calculation.
The pack now back at the jammer line. Turbocharged engaged in scoring some points. Deathwish trying to do the same. Getting forced to the infield. Recycled nicely here, a 3-wall at the back, but a star pass being enacted here.
And star pass successful, and new jammer through, number 33.
Skinner. I wonder if that's an X-Files reference. Or a last name.
Well, Skinner will soon be joining the Emerald City Roller Derby, the adult team. Skinner, well, for Floridians, might be professional wrestler Steve Kern. Well, I might be showing my age also, but kind of gator wrestler type. But
Really?
anyway,
Tell us more.
13-4 on that jam, so Mob City building on their lead again.
A Green jamming against the Reservoir Dolls, Psychotic Angel. Again, Psychotic Angel is back in gameplay in good form, but around the outside, really low. A Green able to make it through for lead jammer status. Psychotic Angel finally clearing the pack, but not before getting she thought she got a penalty, but she's being waved back on by the jammer referee.
I did too. 4 points on that pass.
So the pack slowing between the jammer line and the pivot line. Psychotic Angel able to make it through quickly. And that's the danger of the fast pack, is you're not able to slow down and stop those jammers. A Green comes up against one, is slowed down briefly. Now both jammers looking to engage before that call off.
Mob City bench imploring the jammer to call it off, as we heard and as the house announcer cannot announce, but we certainly can. They can't hear us. One of the challenges of we rotate positions announcing all weekend long, and just things you notice.
You have to remind yourself not to say certain things out loud on the house microphone.
Also, no coaching from the gallery. We try to bring that up too.
Whereas here on broadcast, we can coach all day long. Mob City Misfits, lead jammer status. Juke Skywalker still trapped behind the back wall. That was McKillia, lead jammer for Mob City. And there is going to be a penalty assessed to Juke Skywalker. And that's going to be a low block. So now a power jam, Mob City.
Building on that lead, unanswered points. That's 5 so far.
Nice, beautiful inside clear that wasn't necessarily used by their jammer here for Mob City. But Reservoir Dolls is going to set up just within that 10-foot mark of their opposing blockers to try to prevent any picks.
There we go. Jammer standing and calling it off. So start with the power start. Good awareness there.
13-0 jam in favor of Mob City. Now 127 over Reservoir Dolls 85. I'm Double H here with Standby, and you are watching the 2017 JRDA Open Division Championships live from Loveland, Colorado.
You can connect with us anytime on Twitter. Use the hashtag Talk2, the number 2 JRDA. That's Talk2 JRDA, and follow at JRDA_rocks. And if you're having a watch party, yes, we want to see it. Post a picture to Twitter or Facebook and tag it with hashtag JRDA Watch Party. That is JRDA Watch Party. before the end of the weekend. There will be prizes, so do it.
I love prizes.
Show us yourselves having fun, and if this official timeout is anything interesting, we'll bring it to you. Otherwise, we'll pick up momentarily.
Speaking of having fun, one of the fun things about interacting with our friends on Twitter is that they can tell you important facts. Boom Harang on Twitter says Skinner is Skinner's last name.
Aha.
She was previously Slam Shady, but has defaulted to Skinner, and that is fair.
Thank you.
There we have a
Aha.
nice sign that says Skinner number 33. Some fans out there showing some love for their team. I have to say, usually by midday is when the audience starts perking up a little bit here in Loveland. I think we're still experiencing some morning tiredness, as you can see on the end there.
Those of us from the East Coast are also not used to the sunrise happening before 6 a.m. or before 7 for that matter.
One of the fan sections you could see back there was actually Philly Roller Derby, who had played this morning their first game here and will go on to play the team that does not win this game tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. So they are very closely watching both Reservoir Dolls and Mob City. You can see they're sitting there as a team watching the game. They are trying to see what they can figure out about both of these teams who may wind up in that game. That's going to be game 13 at 10 a.m. tomorrow here on the Open Division bracket.
And you see the tablets out, notebooks out, food out also. In addition.
I hope they're taking notes and not just playing Candy Crush.
Well,
one would hope.
right. But yes, winding down after a hard-fought game. But yes, definitely need to watch this game because they will be playing again. And they will be playing one of these teams. Harley Spinn next to us, listening to us talk about these teams.
Speaking of Philly,
she'll be joining us on the microphone sometime before the weekend is over, we hope.
we can take a quick opportunity to give her a shout out. Harley, tell us about your game this morning.
Our game was very high penalty, which was insane because we almost seemed like we were more in the penalty box than actually playing. But other than that, we fought really hard. We had 2 people foul out, but everybody was really positive, and we were all giving high fives on the bench and enjoying each other. And it was really a nice game, and we played well, and it was fun and great overall.
And so watching this game yourself, what are you learning about these two teams that might be of interest to you moving forward?
Well, on Reservoir Dolls, Psychotic Angel seems to be amazing, and their overall jam strategy is good. But what I've noticed is they have all been staying they either both of the teams choose the jammer line or both of the teams choose the pivot line, and they'll glom to whatever side. I think if we choose one, they'll glom to it as well. But what I'm thinking is our rollback will help us a lot, and that we just need to play our best and do great and have fun.
And they have already done that this weekend. Great work, Harley Spinn. Harley Spinn is here shadowing us, working on announcing and not just skating, which is super awesome because I like to think announcing is the best.
Now, we also had a clarification from the head referee. If we could go to the house announcer who can point that out to us, perhaps. We can try to get her attention. We have a long table here. What was the call there? We missed that.
Egregious low block. Okay.
All right. Thank you. You know when there's a long official timeout, something big is coming out of that, so thank you for the clarification.
Turbocharged is skating on a power start for Mob City and has yet to make it through on his initial. But Mob City doing a good job of running Reservoir Dolls forward, and that speed has helped Turbocharged out a bit. That is lead jammer status that was assessed to him, but he was recycled back into the pack.
Good defense, just a matter of trying to score, which you can't do without a jammer, which has been a problem a few times in this game.
Nice job of Reservoir Dolls just getting right there. When the opposing jammer goes down, just jumping right there and being ready. But it looks like there's some issue that Turbocharged just trying to discuss with his jammer referee, and he feels like maybe
Took a skate to the hip.
Yeah. Boy, I hate when that happens.
I've seen pictures, and it's no. Glad I don't play. I skate, but I don't play.
And there's going to be a timeout, and there's a misconduct call that's being assessed to number 711. That's Frecklenator. So likely it was that interaction that was being discussed with Turbocharged. So Reservoir Dolls will start this down one blocker.
A lot of it inadvertent. If you don't fall small, that's a penalty. But especially if you swing your legs out or don't pull them in, you can also be called for that. And I have seen, unfortunately, a skater ejected before for falling, and her legs were out as she tried to recover, and didn't spell well for the skater near her. But it happens, and again, as far as anything egregious, it's still up to interpretation.
So that's actually a 4-2 pack advantage, but that doesn't seem to matter to Psychotic Angel, who is able to get lead jammer status with just 2 of her blockers on the track. A Green still hung up, trying to make her way through on her initial. And she's got 1 to beat. She's able to do around the outside at turn 4. Psychotic Angel with 1 to beat on the inside is able to do it. Her team is saying, run it, run it, run it, and now call it. And so a little bit of confusion there, I think, last minute on that communication, but still points assessed. There was 1 point stolen there by Mob City.
Really, really close that time, but 4-1.
That's a little closer than I like to call it.
Right, and you're getting a lot more than that to win this game, as the Mob City Misfits so far outscoring the Reservoir Dolls in this half.
Full complement on the track. We've got Scooby Smack jamming for Reservoir Dolls. Mob City around the outside.
Aha.
That is number 14 for Mob City. That's Makilia. She's lead jammer. Still hung up is Scooby Smack, who's able to push forward and make it through for his initial.
Oh, and through. Calling off the jam is Makilia. Wait on the count. 4-0 it is for Mob City Misfits, 132-89. Still lots of time for a comeback, but so far in the second half.
And again, the winner of this game is going to go on to play Attack Pack. The not winner, because nobody's a loser here,
right.
The not winner is going to go on to play Philly Roller Derby tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Both teams progressing one form or another. You will see them again as number 17, Turbocharged, takes lead again.
That is going to be a penalty. An out-of-bounds block being assessed to Death Wish. Turbocharged is lead jammer, so this is a huge opportunity for Mob City to widen their lead.
I think we've seen just about one of every penalty in this game. Pretty diversified as far as the who's been called and what they've been called for.
And that is Lexi headed back to the penalty box as a blocker for Mob City. And there's an out-of-play being assessed to another Reservoir Doll, so penalties had not been an issue coming into this second period, but now perhaps they could become an issue.
A few skaters on 3, and more being added to that. 10-0 officially on that one.
Mob City Misfits 142, Reservoir Dolls 89, or as we like to call it, the battle for the Pacific Northwest. Reservoir Dolls hailing from Emerald City, Eugene, Oregon. Beautiful country out there. Have you been?
The farthest west I've been is Loveland, Colorado, unfortunately.
Wow. You know what? There's more after this. you can keep going west for quite some time. And Death Wish is going to do that right now as lead jammer for the Reservoir Dolls. 8 Green jamming about a quarter of a track behind her has also made her initial for Mob City. The pack slows down at turn 3. Both jammers engaging, pushing through the inside. Death Wish has 2 to beat. They must let her go. That's going to be a 4-point pass for Reservoir Dolls. 8 Green being nicely recycled at the front here. That was Scooby Smack on that catch.
And did we have a shutout? No, 7-3. So still net 4. Yeah, heading west. I know several of my friends will be heading west to Seattle for the WFTDA playoff bracket. Perhaps seeing a Jacksonville Rat City potential game. But if you did not hear the announcement yesterday morning about the WFTDA playoff brackets, get out from under that rock you've been under and go to WFTDA on Facebook. It is all there.
And get out from under the rock and watch Psychotic Angel do that nice little backwards apex jump to become lead jammer. McKillia is recycled here with a catch. Trying to use some speed to get through the inside, and she does, but is going to get a penalty for her efforts. And I think that was, no, she will not be assessed that penalty, but she is removing her helmet cover, and she is trying to pass the star to her pivot. Successfully she does, but the pivot is being knocked to the infield.
A little slow to recover there, so hopefully not an injury, but
Psychotic Angel with that edge work on the inside to get through backwards for additional points.
253, just Daisy, your jammer of record for Mob City.
And the Reservoir Dolls calling for some defense as she approaches. And a nice drawback here for just Daisy. That's going to be a call-off for the Reservoir Dolls. They'll grab additional points, 2 additional points, 3 additional points. So that's a 13-2 run here with Mob City 147, Reservoir Dolls 109.
And we want to thank Meg listening to us from Florida.
Hi, Meg.
On WFTDA.tv. No matter where you are, hopefully listening instead of watching if you're in the car. So
hopefully you're not
Bluetooth.
watching in the car.
Right.
Unless you're
Put us on
passenger.
Bluetooth. We'll describe it for you.
Turbocharged. Go ahead.
Yeah, that is turbocharged and Frecklenator. Speaking of description, turbocharged with lead.
As advertised as well, turbocharged is able to pick up speed really quickly with not a lot of space, which makes him a super effective jammer in this game, but he gets around the outside like it's nothing. 5-point pass here for Mob City.
Hey, and if you want to communicate with us, that Talk2JRDA hashtag.
Oh,
as
and
always.
a cut track being assessed to Frecklenator. That was a beautiful drawback executed by Mob City for that cutting the track penalty. Now Turbocharged is going to attack this pack.
Exactly what the Reservoir Dolls did not need, as some announcers would say, is through again.
So Reservoir Dolls looking to slow it down here at turn 1. They've got a full 4 blockers, but Turbocharged is headed to the penalty box for a back block, so that gives them a little bit of time to reassess and set up in an offensive formation for their jammer Frecklenator coming out of the box.
42 seconds to go in the jam, and jam will go the duration.
And the no pack allows Frecklenator to get through on her initial. So now she is in point scoring range with Turbocharged standing in the penalty box and 29 seconds left in the jam.
Mob City losing a blocker. Toe jammer, good defense while it lasted.
Turbocharged, breaking apart that wall, but getting recycled on the outfield. Narrowly avoiding a cutting the track penalty again. Gets back onto the track to complete his pass for 5 points. So Reservoir Dolls trying to stem the bleeding a little bit here. 20-7 run in favor of Mob City.
Still not a certain game 167 to 116 with a little under 16 minutes to go when we pick up again.
I'm Double H here with Standby, and you are watching and or listening to WFTDA.TV, our continuing coverage of the 2017 JRDA Championships Open Division bracket. We've got Mob City in the black and white accents with A Green jamming, and Death Wish wearing white with the red and black accents getting recycled to the infield all the way back to the pivot line.
Good awareness by Linsanity coming back again.
That's a no-pack call, allowing A Green to push forward to the front to become lead jammer. Death Wish trying to find some space on the inside line, is not able to do so. The pack moving pretty steadily, but here she is backwards through the pack for her initial.
Okay, a minute 20 to go. Both jammers free, and 2 blockers for the Reservoir Dolls in the box. Now just 1 for Mob City, and that'll be how we pick up again.
And that was a great call-off opportunity there for Mob City that they took advantage of, knowing that they were going to get the pack advantage in this jam coming up for 3-2. They've got 1 blocker in the box. Reservoir Dolls have 2.
Again, the winner of this game will meet the attack pack for a right to play for 5th place. That'll be later today. And the runner-up will play Philly for 10th place tomorrow. Apex, wow.
That is going to be a block assessed against an out. I didn't see the call if it was an out-of-play block assessed against a blocker for Reservoir Dolls. Psychotic Angel is lead.
Looks like possibly a track cut there. Landed out of bounds.
Coming through the inside on a scoring run, that is going to be a 5-point pass for Psychotic Angel. McKillia in the penalty box. And I wonder if that had been a misconduct call against McKillia. She did leap that apex jump to try to get through the pack, and we've seen quite a few of those this weekend, and quite a few misconducts as a result.
Unfortunately, yes. I think that one was just a cut from my vantage point as far as what I saw from the referee call, but once again, sometimes the track cut versus the misconduct call, the positioning of the hands, sometimes you see one and sometimes you see the other.
One of the things that's been great this weekend, I think that the jammer referees have been really good at calling multiple penalties at once. So that's part of my confusion, is making sure I understand who's getting assessed what. But it takes a lot of skill to be able to pick out an action against your jammer as well as an action that your jammer takes. Right around the outside on his toe stops, turbocharged. They've worked well for him all weekend, those toe stops. Death Wish through about half a track behind him.
8 unanswered points for the Dolls in the last jam. This jam, barring a penalty, some of those points will be earned back, and there we go.
That was a gorgeous infield jump there. Additional points scored here, 4 for Mob City, so they increased their lead 175 over Reservoir Dolls 124. 12 minutes and 32 seconds left in the game.
I'm seeing a lot more of those infield jumps as well.
I'm pretty jealous of those infield jumps. If only it were that easy, Standby.
Right.
Apparently for younger skaters, it absolutely is. Tipsy Terror jamming for the first time for Reservoir Dolls against A Green. A Green is not, yes, she is lead. There was a little bit of hesitation in pulling out that signal. On a scoring run at turn 3, A Green attacking the pack, but a drawback there from the Reservoir Dolls. That's Frecklenator on that drawback.
Tipsy Terror just pushing 4-on-1 and finally finds an opening. That's out of play block.
Adventurous exit hit there, but did not work out.
Gotta watch those marks on the floor. That was out of play for sure.
It's going to be 2 points additional there for Reservoir Dolls to 4 for Mob City, so a 4-2 run. A 4-2 jam, I should say. Team timeout taken by Mob City. It's their second of the game so far. This is a good opportunity to remind you that we are on Twitter waiting for you to talk to us using the hashtag #TalkToJRDA. You can see the Reservoir Dolls fans there in the background, along with Philly Roller Derby getting ready to figure out who they're going to play in the game on Sunday morning, the number 13 game in the Open Division. Lots and lots of blankets in the audience as well.
The air conditioning works, and it works
Yes.
great here.
That's the FOCO Spartans. They are getting ready for an upcoming game at 2 o'clock on this track against Des Moines. 2 o'clock Mountain, I should remind. We are on Mountain Time. So since this is the furthest west that you have been, have you had any impact from the altitude? Not that that's a west thing, but it's Rocky Mountains.
Not so much from the altitude as much as just the, I don't want to say jet lag, but just getting used to that just a little bit. Maybe a little earlier waking up, but aside from that, nah.
The sun waking you up.
Right.
So we've got 2-on-2 in the pack. Turbocharged is lead jammer for Mob City. Psychotic Angels able to clear the pack for Reservoir Dolls. And now we've got 3-on-2 for Reservoir Dolls, but I like that pop forward. And that was a gorgeous apex jump on the inside from Turbocharged. That's the thing. If you encounter jammers who are consistently jumping the apex on you, you're going to have to default to finding a different position to stop than the apex. The thing about Turbocharged is it doesn't even matter on the track where you stop. He can do those inside line jumps. So
Right.
even if you're on the straightaway, you cannot leave any room for him to get by.
And good control also, not touching a blocker on the way down.
3-2 pack
Whoa.
advantaged with Turbocharged jamming again. Skinner jamming for Reservoir Dolls. Lead jammer goes to Turbocharge. Skinner is about a quarter of a track behind, but gets an exit hit. And that is Just Daisy going to the penalty box for that hit. I believe that was an out-of-play engagement.
I believe you're right. This
And
time
that
a
is
little more
gonna be
control,
a
but
Cutting the track penalty. I was trying to figure out which one that was. Cutting the track penalty, sending Skinner to the penalty box. So now lead Turbocharged proceeding. And he's going to ice Skinner in the box. That is a smart move. Skinner is a relief jammer. So they're going to try to tire her out by putting her in 2 jams in a row and icing her in the box. And that was a smart move from Mob City.
certainly was, as now under 10 minutes to go, and the clock just as much an enemy of the Reservoir Dolls, or just as much an opponent of the Reservoir Dolls as the Mob City Misfits at this point. Not quite an insurmountable lead, but it is almost not enough time to make up.
Gorgeous hit to the outside at turn 1. Oh, and there's a...
No pass, no penalty.
Yeah,
on that
Frecklenator does not believe it. How, she says.
That's what they all do.
But not lead jammer status for Makilia. So Skinner, coming out of the penalty box about half a lap behind the pack, is going to eye that up with the potential for lead if she can get through. And again, the choice to try to ice her and make her jam again was made by Mob City. And now lead jammer status is awarded to Skinner, and she's going to call it off right away. So that strategy backfired for them a little bit, but there was a 5-0 gain in Mob City's favor.
And that's the only thing you can do at that point. Get lead, call it off, stop that. 5 points is all it was.
I couldn't tell if there was a timeout being taken, but it was just the Reservoir Dolls bench manager asking some questions on the infield, which you're allowed to do. Under 8 minutes left in the game. A Green jamming for Mob City. Death Wish for Reservoir Dolls, but A Green is able to make it through for lead jammer on the outside at turn 1. Death Wish trying to duck down and get past on the straightaway, does so backwards.
Rosie the pivoter holding her up as long as possible.
Coming in hot to the back of the pack, A Green is going to hit it and quit it.
Nicely done. 2 points. 2 points scored on that one.
So Mob City 198, Reservoir 128.
70 points. That's 2 power jams. Just saying.
There is going to be a team timeout taken. Reservoir Dolls, this is their last team timeout of the game. They've got 7 minutes left. They still have an official review. I'm not sure I would use this team timeout right now, but I think that the bench managers are really looking to rest their jammers as much as possible to try to push them forward. And that is Des Moines getting ready for their next game against FOCO, standing in front of the bracket, getting their photo taken by one of the parents. And they are going to be taking on FOCO for the chance to go to the championship game, the first place game tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, right here on WFTDA.tv. So these two teams have absolutely everything at stake for them. Stand by.
Yeah, the FOCO Spartans from Fort Collins, just up the road, against Des Moines Derby Brats. Again, that will be for the right to go to the championship game. And even then, the team that comes up short will be in the third place game. So lots of derby to be played and lots of high caliber derby at that.
Turbocharged hits a 4-wall and is recycled Death Wish right through the inside to become lead jammer for Reservoir Dolls. So that was a very fruitful team timeout that Reservoir Dolls took.
Jammer
And
just blast through. No pass, no penalty on that one.
It was only one that she had passed, and it was a no pass, no penalty, as you said. So that is going to be a 3-point gain for Reservoir Dolls.
Realistically now, they need to draw some penalties, and
that's going to be an
review.
official review. I have a feeling Mob City is going to question whether or not that was a cutting the track penalty on the inside from the opposing jammer, because I had some questions about it.
Yeah, I would.
But the
Give it a
jammer
shot.
referee said no, it was only one person, and that person was out of bounds, or down or out of bounds. So that was the question I think that Mob City also had.
Pointing toward that side of the track, so yeah, most likely that'll be it.
I heard some really cool noise. I heard a noise there, but I heard a really cool thing. Stand by. I heard that JRDA is now offering membership registration structures based on your country's currency.
Right. Basically what this means is JRDA membership is $200 for leagues outside the United States. That is $200 of that country's local currency, not $200 US. So if a league is in Canada, that's $200 Canadian dollars. If a league is in Australia, it's
you totally
$200 Australian.
You went for it.
I did. And if a team is in Mexico, yeah, you get it. Now, if you're a league outside the United States, please contact TECH, T-E-C-H, TECH, at juniorrollerderby.org for your country's currency code before completing your membership registration. Join us.
That is so exciting. I like the way that helps to equalize the playing field, as it were, for the structure of membership. And as we've seen, the growth over the last 2 years is enormous. And so there's some question. The coach for Reservoir Dolls is being motioned over, so I'm not entirely sure whether there's a deliberation. But we'll find out in a moment. As we've mentioned, you're watching the open division on this track, but there is a female and all-female division bracket happening on our sister track over here on track 2. And here we do have the crew head referee picking up that microphone. I believe. Yes, there she is. And we're going to find out any minute now
Turn it on.
what this was about.
City's official review was to look for a cut call on the white jammer. Upon review, it was determined that the jammer did re-enter in front of one teammate, which does not constitute a cut. Therefore, there is no cut call to be made, and Mob City does not retain the review.
I think it was the right call to question that, though.
Sure.
It's always beneficial to try to see if you can get your opposing jammer into the box, or to try to see if you can get your jammer out of the box. But the good thing about that is that was 3 minutes of downtime that Mob City was able to give their jammers and their blockers. And we're going into the next jam just a couple minutes fresher than we were just 3 minutes ago.
Hater jamming for the first time in this game.
Psychotic Angel for Reservoir Dolls finds an inside line to become lead jammer. Hater recycled all the way back to the infield. Is going to avoid that cutting the track penalty.
Just centimeters away, too.
Psychotic Angel on the far straightaway. Nearing turn 3, now turn 4. Getting the signal from her bench to call it.
From everybody on that bench.
So that's 198 Mob City, Reservoir Dolls 134. That was a 3-0 jam in their favor.
3 more than they had before, and we'll have about 5.5 minutes when we pick up again.
So this team is going to go on to play Mob City. If they win, will go on to play Attack Pack. Reservoir Dolls, if they do not win, will go on to play Philly tomorrow. A Green getting taken down at turn 1 and recycled all the way back. Scooby Smack is lead jammer for Reservoir Dolls. Scooby Smack trying to find some room on the outside. The far straightaway is drawn back nicely here by Mob City. A Green attacking a tripod at the front, nearing the jammer line. She's got 1 to beat, is able to get through. That was her initial.
So Scooby Smack, yes, getting that signal, looking for that signal, and yeah. 4 points for the Dolls. 4 more than they had once again.
So Mob City, 198, Reservoir 138. That was a nice 4-0 jam. I think a few more of those earlier in the second period would have benefited them.
Right.
Here we are, though, at the pivot line. Reservoir Dolls is down their pivot. Deathwish is jamming for Reservoir Dolls, and Makilia for Mob City.
Turbocharged jumps twice to catch the jammer, but not to be this time.
I'm not sure if he's more terrifying as a pivot or as a jammer. I think equally terrifying in both positions. Deathwish hitting the back of that Mob City wall. Is there a penalty assessed as a back block? There is a penalty assessed,
yes,
and it is going to her. So now this is a power jam for Makilia with 1:25 on that clock. And she is not lead, so another 2-minute jam standby.
Right, this is going to seal it, if nothing else, for the Mob City Misfits. So Makilia still playing at 100% or as close to 100% as possible. And left with 2 up front, but yeah, Reservoir Dolls pretty much, we can say, out of time to
And that is going to be is that a direction going to that blocker, who is also Psychotic Angel and often a jammer? Now Deathwish back in action. Makilia and Deathwish pushing forward on this pack.
Lots of dual and triple threats in this game as far as
okay,
skill
so
sets.
very super casually, Deathwish handing off that helmet cover to her pivot. It did not fool Mob City for 1 second, though.
No.
Able to make it through, though, is Frecklenator with that star. A 4-point pass for Makilia. The pack slowly moving forward back to the jammer line. Frecklenator scoring points. She's going to grab a few before getting moved to the outfield. That was 2 on that pass. A 21-2 jam in favor of Mob City. We've just got under 2 minutes left in this game. I'm Double H here with Standby, and you're watching the final minutes of Mob City Misfits taking on the Emerald City Reservoir Dolls.
We're about to just a medical situation for the Reservoir Dolls, one of these skaters on the bench. But gameplay will continue. And not with the Reservoir Dolls jammer.
Skinner is jamming for Reservoir Dolls and headed to the penalty box. Hayter is jamming for Mob City, is knocked out by Scooby Smacks to the inside. Great one-on-one battle there for a second between Hayter and Scooby Smacks. And Scooby Smacks is going to use his toe stops, but is taken down to the infield and recycled all the way back to turn 2. Takes off the helmet cover and hands it to Just Daisy.
Okay, Just Daisy may actually skate us out. So
I think Just Daisy looked as confused as I was for a quick second.
sometimes that happens in the last jam of the game. Like, here, take it. Okay.
Well, I think some confusion. I don't believe Hayter had made the initial pass, so was still eligible for lead jammer status, which is I think why Just Daisy was like, why wouldn't you want lead jammer? Now we have to skate for 2 minutes. So,
Yeah, but 4 more points added to it for what it's worth. But strong finish by the Mob City Misfits. Reservoir Dolls had a couple opportunities to catch up, but time and penalties taking their toll.
Well, Just Daisy said, all right, fine, I'll take you out. 35 seconds left on the jam clock. There's 4 on the period clock, so we're going to go an additional 30 seconds or so here before the end of this jam.
The penalty box is clear. Yes, the penalty box is clear.
Scooby Smacks with a huge hit on the inside, and is that going to be a call of any kind? It is not.
No, but the blocker able to recover, fortunately. It was
totally legal.
Virginia Wolf, I believe.
That is a call that is not totally legal. There is a high block assessed to number 3, Lexi, for Mob City, and that will be the end of the game. Stand by.
And we can turn out the lights on this one as the Mob City Misfits will advance to meet the Attack Pack later today for a right to play in the 5th place game, and that will be at 6 o'clock Mountain Time for you West Coast fans. 5 p.m. for you East Coast fans will be 8 p.m. So definitely join us for that. And the runner-up will play tomorrow morning, Philly, for 10th place. So the Reservoir Dolls will meet Philly for 10th place, which will be a heck of a game in itself.
These teams did a great job. One of the things that I'm really impressed by is the jammers' abilities to find spaces for their toe stops. And I think because the floor has been so slick, they have defaulted to using those toe stops instead of using their edge work because it's really hard to find that traction on this track. But they've been able to adapt so well, particularly Turbocharge, to kill it during the entire game with those apex jumps. So this was a really fun game to watch and a fun game to call, and a great job by both of these teams.
Absolutely, and enjoyed working with you for the first time as well.
Yeah, this was a great call. I'm Double H here with Standby, and stand by for continuing coverage of our 2017 JRDA Championships live on WFTDA.tv all weekend long.